Hi, my name is Tony and I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is a video for family and friends on my views on the prophet Joseph Smith. Firstly, what is a prophet? A prophet is to act as God's messenger and make known God's will. He's also a preacher of righteousness. This is a picture of the prophet Joseph Smith. He was born 23rd of December 1805 in the state of Vermont, when he was the fourth eldest of 9 children. They moved to Manchester, Ontario, New York when he was about 14 years old. There was a great excitement on the subject of religion, with different religious parties contending with one another. Joseph Smith said, "It would seem that the seemingly good feelings of both the priests and the converts were more pretended than real, for a scene of great confusion and bad feelings ensued, priest contending against priest and convert against convert. 4 members of his family joined the Presbyterian faith." Joseph said, "During this time of great excitement, my mind was called up to serious reflection and great uneasiness, but though my feelings were deep and often poignant, still I kept myself aloof from these parties, though I attended their several meetings as often as occasion would permit. In the midst of this war of words and tumult of opinions, I often said to myself, what is to be done? Who of all these parties are right, or are they all wrong together? If any one of them be right, which is it, and how shall I know it?" One day Joseph was reading the Bible and came across a scripture in James, 1st chapter, 5th verse, which reads, "If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him." Upbraideth means to rebuke, criticize, or find fault. I'd like to read the rest in his own words. "Never did any passage of Scripture come with more power to the heart of man than this did at this time to mine. It seemed to enter with great force into every feeling of my heart. I reflected on it again and again, knowing that if any person needed wisdom from God, I did. For how to act I did not know, and unless I could get more wisdom than I then had, I would never know, for the teachers of religion of the different sects understood the same passages of Scripture so differently as to destroy all confidence in settling the question by an appeal to the Bible. At length I came to the conclusion that I must either remain in darkness and confusion, or else I must do as James directs, that is, ask of God. I at length came to the determination to ask of God, concluding that if he gave wisdom to them that lack wisdom, and would give liberally and not upbraid, I might venture. So in accordance with this, my determination to ask of God, I retired to the woods to make the attempt. It was on the morning of a beautiful clear day, early in the spring of 1820. It was the first time in my life that I had made such an attempt, for amidst all my anxieties I had never as yet made the attempt to pray vocally. After I had retired to the place where I had previously designed to go, having looked around me and finding myself alone, I kneeled down and began to offer up the desires of my heart to God. I had scarcely done so when immediately I was seized upon by some power which entirely overcame me, and had such an astonishing influence over me as to bind my tongue, so that I could not speak. Thick darkness gathered around me, and it seemed to me for a time as if I were doomed to sudden destruction. But exerting all my powers to call upon God to deliver me out of the power of this enemy which had seized upon me, and at the very moment when I was ready to sink into despair and abandon myself to destruction, not to an imaginary ruin, but to the power of some actual being from the unseen world, who had such marvellous power as I had never before felt in any being, just at this moment of great alarm, I saw a pillar of light exactly over my head, above the brightness of the sun, which descended gradually until it fell upon me. It no sooner appeared than I found myself delivered from the enemy which held me bound. When the light rested upon me, I saw 2 personages, whose brightness and glory defy all description, standing above me in the air. One of them spake unto me, calling me by name, and said, pointing to the other, "This is my beloved Son, hear him." My object in going to inquire of the Lord was to know which of all the sects was right, that I might know which to join. No sooner therefore did I get possession of myself, so as to be able to speak, than I asked the personages who stood above me in the light, which of all the sects was right, for at this time it had never entered into my heart that all were wrong, and which I should join. I was answered that I must join none of them, for they were all wrong. And the personage who addressed me said that all their creeds were an abomination in his sight, that those professors were all corrupt, that they draw near to me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They teach for doctrines the commandments of men, having a form of godliness, but they deny the power thereof. He again forbade me to join with any of them, and many other things did he say unto me, which I cannot write at this time. When I came to myself, I found myself lying on my back, looking up into heaven. When the light had departed, I had no strength, but soon recovering in some degree, I went home, and as I leaned up to the fireplace, mother inquired what the matter was. I replied, "Never mind, all is well. I am well enough off." I then said to my mother, "I have learned for myself that Presbyterianism is not true. It seems as though the adversary was aware, at a very early period of my life, that I was destined to prove a disturber and an annoyer of his kingdom, else why should the powers of darkness combine against me? Why the opposition and persecution that arose against me almost in my infancy? I believe that Joseph Smith is indeed a prophet of God, that through him the Lord's true church was once again established on the earth. He had a duty to share what he knew with the world, and he fulfilled that obligation until his death, despite the persecutions that were heaped upon him. Joseph Smith was told that his name would be had for good and evil among all nations. For this reason, I have disabled all comments. There is much more in the Joseph Smith history. I have only shared a small part of it. We have missionaries all over the world. We have chapels in most neighbourhoods. Our chapels are open to anyone with honest hearts searching for truth. They usually begin services at 9 a.m. Or you can go to the website, The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and type in the search bar Missionaries Online. God bless you on your search for truth. Only if you are unafraid of truth will you find it. Thank you for listening.